Hello, everybody out there. Welcome to day 8 and the final weekend of the DocLands Documentary Film Festival for 2021. And welcome to DocTalk Daily. I'm Joni Cooper. I'm the Director of Programming for DocLands. And I am a white woman with shoulder-length brown hair, wearing a brown and blue check shirt, sitting in front of a wooden credenza that has beautiful yellow and orange hibiscus flowers on it. I would like to welcome back my programming colleague, Kelly Clement, and
Hi, Joni.
Hi, Kelly, and the director of Havana Libra, Corey McLean.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey.
Welcome. Thanks for coming, both of you.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining me today to talk about surfing, all things oceans and surfing.
Oh, surfing.
Kelly, can you believe the number of ocean-related films and surfing films that we actually looked at this year?
That was amazing.
It was so amazing. And I think we could have done a mini festival. I wanted to program like a weekend festival of ocean and surfing. There's so many.
Yeah, on top of the ocean and under the ocean.
Exactly. Yeah. Lots of deep dives too.
Yeah.
And Havana Libra, Corey, what a beautiful and just such an inspiring film to see what those folks in Cuba have done. And thank you for bringing your film to our attention. It's not simply a surf film, but it goes deep into the Cuban culture and the history too. And I had no idea that surfing wasn't legal there until recently. What was your connection to surfing in Cuba?
Yeah, first off, thanks for the compliments on our film and thanks for watching it and including it in the festival. It's amazing to have our story that we made with our Cuban counterparts presented to so many eager viewers and alongside so many great projects. The story of surfing in Cuba was a really interesting one to discover and a really eye-opening one to follow and create. The whole thing came about very organically, just met the characters by happenstance in Cuba, and they started to sort of share their stories. They're very eager to connect with people outside of their borders. And so for us, they just started sharing the whole story. And as we got to know each other better, we sort of came to this conclusion that we wanted to come together to make something out of it. And that's where we are today.
Are you a surfer yourself, Corey?
I am. I wouldn't consider myself a great surfer by any means, but I've been bitten by the bug. I go surfing a lot.
Well, one of my favorite parts of the film was following Yaya around the city on a skateboard. That was just breathtaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's an amazing character. And it's funny, skateboarding is just another one of those things in Cuba that it doesn't seem rebellious to ride a skateboard down the street, but there it's part of their whole counterculture.
It's an act of revolution.
Yeah.
And rebellion, yeah. And to be filming during that whole time when they were working on getting even surfing legal, let alone named a sport.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd have thought it?
Yeah.
Has it been screened in Cuba yet?
No, not yet.
Any plans?
We're still buttoning some things up to properly finish it. And we do plan on doing a screening in Cuba, but right now things are a little bit complicated between us and Cuba. And so it's hard to go there. But it's on our radar. Yeah, we definitely want to do a screening there with them.
Good.
They
have seen the film.
Yeah.
Frank and Yaya.
Yeah.
And what did you think?
They loved it, which was great because over the course of our multiple iterations, they did not hesitate to tell us when they didn't like it. And so when we finally delivered the film that we put together that is screening at the festival, they were really overjoyed with how it all turned out, and they felt like it was a good representation of their struggles, them as a community, and life in Cuba, which for us as outsiders, we're not Cuban ourselves. That was a really hard struggle to try and tell a story about something that it's not necessarily our story. And it's a culture that is, I think, sort of challenging to understand from the outside. And so for us, it was definitely a work of collaboration with them in making sure that the story was authentic.
Yeah. And that information, that's important to get out to the world, to let them know, well, maybe there will be a surfing team from Cuba one day. That would be fabulous.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be able to represent their country and their community in what they love.
Yeah. And Corey, did you manage to catch the other surfing film we're screening, Big versus Small?
I did, yeah. Amazing film.
So great. It's screening in the big house at the Rafael Theater tonight. So I just think it's a beautiful film, and just to learn all about Joana Andrade and all she's gone through with the tiny fighter, as they call her, to get through.
Yeah. I was one reviewer I was reading was describing it as a long Buddhist meditation.
Yeah.
Really like that. Above the water and below the water.
Yeah. That was such an added element for her to go to Norway and dive under the ice into those freezing lakes.
Yeah, I love that they dive into her mind so much, because that is such a huge portion of what hooks surfers to begin with. It is a different form of meditation. It's meditation through motion, but you're doing something where your senses are all directed towards something in a way that frees your mind from the noise in your head. And she did a really good job of speaking to that, and also showing us the importance of what it is to have that sort of a release and all the preparation that goes into doing it at a really high level.
Right. Yeah. And people don't often think of surfing as partly underwater.
Yeah.
Because you do go underwater.
Especially in what she's doing, preparing for the other side of it is, you need to be ready for the worst.
Exactly. And that can release your mind from worrying about that when you know you can actually handle that breathing. That's, putting those two pieces together was pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. And I love the music and sound in the film too. And I don't know if you remember the closing song, but it's by one of Joana Andrade's friends, Joana Alegre. And it's such a beautiful song. Yeah. And I thought it fit because I think Alegre in Portuguese means happy. Mm-hmm. So everybody's happy. No, don't miss that at the Rafael tonight. And then, along with both of those surfing films, Big versus Small and Havana Libra, to round out this imaginary mini ocean festival, we're also hosting Playing with Sharks, the life story of Valerie Taylor. She's amazing.
She is incredible. She's like, if you wanted to get a coffee with someone or a drink with someone, I think she like immediately jumps high on the list. She seems like just such a spark.
Yeah. What a bunch of stories she has to tell.
Oh yeah, to be involved and it's an integral process of the classic film Jaws. So it's amazing.
Really interesting insight into like the development of just the general public's perception of sharks, and how it all kind of sparked from this curiosity. And I like that they talk about how sort of these unintended consequences. It's kind of like a bigger metaphor of, I guess, the whole interaction to begin with.
Yeah. And for them to see so early on, it's like, oh, wait a second, why are we killing these beautiful creatures? Mm-hmm. And for both she and Ron, her husband Ron Taylor, to just do a 180 and become some of the biggest conservationists around. And Valerie, what is she? She's 80. 82 now or something, and still diving, still really working hard with conservation, and seems to find a new cause every other week. So she's amazing.
I love what both of the films did as far. I mean, I think documentary films in general are this beautiful thing. So it's a window into a world that people don't understand, and I think, you know, the world of water is certainly an unexplored space around the globe. In general, it's, you know, one of the great unknowns. But to see all these films that are diving into it, there are a lot of common themes. You know, I think Valerie, she was saying early in the film that the people who become the activists start as the hunters because they're the ones who spend the most time around the water. And I think that theme kind of crosses between her film and Big versus Small, and then our film as well, which is sort of this, you know, you can't understand this world until you're in it. And I think all the films, it's nice to see them all kind of diving into that, because
literally
you get the next wave of conservationists unless you get people in the water.
Yeah. Lots of terminology stemming from the ocean and waves, just in your 2 sentences there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, this is your first feature film. Are you ready to take on another one?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, well, we've got some other projects we're working on that are in a couple different veins, sort of. They share similarities to what we're making. Obviously, this film that we made was incredibly personal, and our first film is, we put everything into it. So I expect this one is going to be the one that we all remember, that we all, being my team and I and people who all put the effort into creating it, did something truly special to us.
Yeah.
And so we're really excited to see what comes out of it and where we head for next projects. But yeah, for us right now, we're just really focused on just enjoying completing this one.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you built quite a great community too, between your team and the team in Cuba. So
Yeah.
That's very cool too. Do you think things are going to open up a bit with Biden in now with Cuba?
I mean, they should. I hope so. It's about time. I mean, that's one of the biggest things from our time in Cuba, and one of the takeaways we want from our film is that people have all these perceptions of what groups of people are like, but ultimately they're all just people. And in Cuba, we were with all these young people who bared more similarities than differences to us, other than their cultural influences. And so for us, it was just hard to see them with the same desires and the same dreams, and just having so many obstacles in the way of following their dreams. And you know, you start to look at it long enough, and it starts to make less and less sense why we have these walls up between us. So we certainly hope that things start to change, and we're optimistic that they will.
Yeah.
And I should mention, this is also going to be shown as part of the DocLands educational program. So students from around the country are going to get to see it and be inspired by it.
That's
really exciting.
That's very cool. Well, there goes our time. Thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you, Corey, Kelly, for joining me again today. Tomorrow at this same time, I'll be chatting with Alan Vanden Honert, the director of There Is a Place on Earth, along with local Bay Area editor Gina Lebrecht. A huge thank you to our DocTalk sponsor, the Make It Better Media Group, and everyone for tuning in. I hope you make this weekend a full DocLands viewing weekend.
Yeah.
Complete with referral screens if you're in the neighborhood. Thanks. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
See you with your next film, Corey.
Yeah.
Hopefully before that.
All right. Take care.
Bye.